This was the ordinary conversation.
Yeah, right.
That's not hard for us to do.
Hey, now, see, forget you're being buzzed right now. And hopefully it's cool enough for you here.
Oh, it's fine.
Because this air conditioner, I could have it on, but it's kind of loud.
Yeah.
But, okay, so I'm going to read this real quick.
Okay.
And by the way, I got some waters for you. Y'all want some water or anything?
I don't need any right now.
Okay, well, you let me know when you need a restroom break or whatever. But okay, I'm going to read this, and then we'll get started. But today is Friday, June 8, 2012, and I'm interviewing my great-uncle, Lloyd Carter, and also his wife, Aunt Frida. They've come out to my house so I can ask questions about their early years and can add this to my Carter Dykes family tree notebook I had just completed. Uncle Lloyd and Aunt Frida, I know we're going a long ways back down memory lane, and that you won't be able to recall everything I'm going to ask. But I do appreciate the answers that you will remember, and you're giving the current generations and future ones that may read this later a glimpse of the early days of the Carters, memories that come back to you as I ask these questions. Okay, let's get started. So that's my little reading there. Okay, first of all, your name is Lloyd George Carter, right? Why did your parents select this name for you, and did you have a nickname? Was there any reason that they picked that name?
Now, George, I believe, was named after, I don't know if it was a doctor then.
Well, you know what? I found out in the family tree that your dad had a brother by the name of George.
Yes.
And so possibly there could be a connection there.
He must have had 3 brothers.
He did, because there was Frank, George, and Bob.
Frank and Bob was the only kids that I had.
Right.
There was, since you mentioned George.
Yeah, George was the second born, and you're going to find that out in all this book I made.
Yeah.
But I was just curious if there was any connection there.
I really don't know.
Well, did you have a nickname growing up, or were you just always called Lloyd?
No.
Okay, just Lloyd. Okay. And I noticed you were born in 1918 in Stuart in Hughes County, Oklahoma. And so, and Cleo was too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Okay.
Mildred, we lived down there.
Well, yeah.
I think about 7 years. So I don't.
Oh, okay.
Mildred might have been born.
Well, it's funny though that, the census records always, according to the census records, you always lived in Pawnee County, but that's not the case. Because, I mean, all the census records were in Pawnee County, but so you lived in Hughes County about 7 years then, right?
Well, no, I wasn't that old when we moved.
Right, yeah. Well, you couldn't have stayed there that long because in 1920 you were back in Pawnee County because you were born in 1918. And so so I'm just saying that you moved not too long after you were born. But did he have...
About 2 years old.
Yeah. Did he have a farm there then?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes. Dad bought an old farm there.
Okay.
And he had to grub about all of it to get it.
And you don't remember what it even looked... I mean, of course...
I don't remember a thing about
Right. And
living there.
do you have any idea how many acres it was? Or
No, I don't.
Yeah. So he had a farm there for a while. And why did he pick that place for a farm? I was wondering. I'm just curious. Okay. That's interesting because that's quite a ways off, you know.
It's always been interesting to me why he picked any of them that he did.
Yeah.
Because there never was any of them that was worth 10 cents.
Yeah. Well, okay. Now again, you won't be able to remember some of this, but do you have what's the earliest childhood memory you have growing up?
Well, we lived up there on it was called the Old Beers Place.
Okay.
Later between
Okay.
Senate and Cleveland.
Okay, so is it Mears or Beers? Mears?
Beers.
Beers.
I'm not sure how to spell.
I wonder how that would be, just B-E-E-R-S or something like that?
No.
Yeah, I'm just curious, okay.
Yeah.
But anyhow, I can faintly remember there's probably me and Cleo was playing. We had a big cardboard box set up outside the front door by the side of a little porch.
Let's check this real quick. Make sure we're on.
And we were playing out there. I can faintly remember something about that. A little.
Yeah. That's going way back, isn't it?
But now, my grandma on Dad's side, when she died, according to the dates that you've got in them papers,
Yeah.
I was only 2 years old.
Yeah, well, I don't know. See, I can't find out when she died, because she was alive in 1920, so I'm going to try to still find that out. But I haven't found it out yet. So she died somewhere, I'd say between 1920 and 1930, but I'm not sure.
No, she died much earlier than that. No, you're right.
Yeah, because see, she's in the census in
I think you've got 1920.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is she was alive at that time because she's in the census records, and I haven't found an official death date. And so she died sometime after 1920. And she was like 76 then, so she probably died between 20 and 30, I would say, or 1920 and 30.
She died before 30.
Yeah, probably so, because she would have been up in her 80s then, and they just didn't live that long back then.
No.
Yeah.
Very few lived till 70.
I know, and a lot of people died in their 40s back then, you know. Okay, you told me your dad sold his goods by traveling by horse and wagon. Was that right? Did he sell things along, did he pedal?
Well, I can remember one time we had a heck of a watermelon crop. He loaded up a wagon load of watermelons, went to Manford with them, trying to sell for 25 cents a piece.
Oh, wow. Well, I wish I knew what else melons were today. I know buy me a truckload full.
And he sold 2 or 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah.
Brought the rest of them back and fed them to the hog.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay, and so how far out did he do that? Did he sell other vegetables and fruit or whatever?
I can recall.
Oh, okay. But, okay, well, I was just curious. And, let's see. And so that's the only time you can recall him doing that? Okay.
Of course
He always dabbled in junk.
Oh, really?
Had a little uppity, when they moved into Clayton, he had a little junk.
Well, wasn't that Uncle Bud?
No, he had it before.
Oh.
They're separate things.
Wow, so I didn't even know about that. Tell me about that. I mean, or did he?
Well, after they left the farm, moved into Cleveland, back then, I wasn't even had salt shakers, you know. They had what they call forage fence.
Right.
He grew just a paltry amount of that.
Yeah. So did your mom and dad both?
So he went into the junk business,
Oh, okay.
buying and selling.
Oh. Did he do pretty good at that?
Well, he made a living at it.
Yeah, I didn't even know that, so I appreciate. I barely remember Uncle Bud having a shop there in Cleveland.
Honey, I'll tell you that you couldn't get through his store there.
I remember that.
The old chains, heavy log chains in the
He had enough long chains probably reach from coast to coast.
Do you remember what he called his store, or do you have a name for it?
I don't know.
Uncle Bud?
Just Bud's is all we ever knew. Bud's junk store.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know about Granddad Carter, though. Now, your mom, did she move into town too, or did she die out on the farm?
No, old in there.
So about what year did they move to town, would you say? She died in 55.
Yeah. Lee was a baby. He was when Lloyd went in service, I'd take Lee and go up there and visit with him some.
Oh, okay.
In Cleveland.
Well, Lee was born in 41.
So sometime
43, you suppose, when they moved into town?
I couldn't say.
Yeah, I know. Okay. Let's see. Okay, what crops did your father, and what crops and animals did your dad raise?
Well, we always had cows.
Yeah.
And horses. Horses.
Right.
Back then, nobody hardly had tractors.
I was wondering, I was going to ask that, if he ever had a tractor or any kind of, so he just plowed behind the horse.
And horses.
Tell him about his time that he was going to buy someone, he's going to buy a truck.
Well, that was long before.
Yeah, tell me, anything you remember.
When we lived down the big cabin. He never owned a vehicle in his life.
Yeah, I was going to ask
But
that too.
this was during the hay season.
Mm-hmm.
And there's lots of hay down in that part of the country. Well, they were putting up hay, and somebody talked him, was trying to sell him a truck, a flatbed truck.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, this was back in the probably late 20s.
Mm-hmm.
They was out in the hayfield working, and at noon they came into the house for lunch.
Mm-hmm.
And on the way back to the hayfield, they talked him into getting behind the wheel and learning how to drive.
Yeah, okay.
Well, of course, it was just a dirt road.
Yeah.
And they had just freshly graded it. And along the side of the road was a row of dirt.
Yeah.
With a grader bed.
Right.
Well, he got over his front wheel over into that dirt.
Uh-huh.
The truck got away from him and hit a telephone pole.
Oh, wow.
He said, well, that's the end of that.
And so he never did drive. I was going to ask you that. Of course, I was going to ask. Couldn't picture Grandma Carter driving either, but I was going to ask if either one of them, because
as far as I know, that's the only time that he ever.
And it was kind of a bad experience for him, wasn't it?
Because he never owned a vehicle.
Okay, so you raised cows and workhorses, and what kind of crops did you raise?
Well, cotton, corn.
I was going to ask you, did you raise cotton?
And small grain.
Yeah. And did he sell any of that? Or was that just for you all?
Well,
The cotton,
of course.
Yeah.
He sold that.
Right.
hauled it to the gin, and
Where was the gin at, you know?
well,
I was just curious. I mean, because that back then,
I believe, which
no sense.
the last place where we raised cotton, I believe the gin was in Manford.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I know it was a popular crop back then, you know.
Did you ever see them cotton sacks that they pulled them? You seen colored people out in the field.
Yeah.
Them old,
Yeah?
and they reach nearly from here to there. There's a long,
Wow. Wow. So, how would you say how was the main way he made his living? I mean, what brought in the income to the family?
We raised an awful lot of what we eat.
Right. Yeah.
Mom always put out a big garden. She canned a lot of stuff.
You say, so your mom kind of was in charge of the garden? Oh, okay.
Well, she was,
Well, I mean, what I'm saying is she kind of was, she determined,
she went to the fields with us to work this garden.
I don't know how she did that, having 14 kids.
I don't either. That alone would kill you.
I said there wasn't a way in the world from getting pregnant. The way they run up and down the road in their wagon moving around from spot to spot, and all them other little kids around.
Okay. Yeah. Now, okay, let me go on down. Yeah, this is really interesting to me, all this stuff.
We always butchered hogs.
Yeah, I was going to ask
fall.
Okay. And did you, so when you say, describe that, I mean, like, you kill them, I mean, of course, I don't know what there is involved in that, but...
Dad would take a 55-gallon steel drum, bury it in the ground, sloping like that.
Okay.
Fill that with boiling hot water. Of course, you kill the hog first.
Right.
And cut his throat for it to bleed. And then they would sludge it up and down in that boiling water as to loosen the hair on it.
Right.
And they scrape the hair off them.
Right. Okay. And did you have a smokehouse?
Just done to describe
Yeah.
such as that.
Well, actually, we tried doing it one time. I remember when I was a girl, and that's the only time my dad messed with that. That was such a long, drawn-out process, you know, from start to finish.
But that was so good.
Oh, I did.
I tell you, Miss Carter, even canned fryers. I mean, she would take them and cut them up, fry them, and put them in the jar, and then pour grease on it. And I'll tell you, when we went there, when I was pregnant with Leah, I would eat till I'd nearly pop, and I'd get ashamed of myself.
Well, you say she canned them. I mean...
That was during her depression.
Okay, so they would actually keep that way, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Grease poured on them.
Pour that grease over,
Yeah.
fill the jar up,
Seal it.
and it would, get hard over the top, and that would seal them.
Wow, I didn't know you could do that, you know. And, I heard she was a good cook. So did you have a smokehouse, like did you do hams or from your meat, or how'd that work? How did you preserve your meat?
Well, the hams and the shoulders, such as that, Dad would take them and take a butcher knife and make a hole down to the joint and fill that full of salt.
Okay.
And then
I never did know how to.
put them down in a box, wooden box, and smear them over good with salt.
And that was how it was preserved. I know some people have smokehouses and stuff. I didn't know, but I know you have to preserve it some way. You know, if they're
Well, did we all even raise goats?
Goats? Okay, so goats, workhorses, and cows. And your crops, it was watermelon. So you basically had all the vegetables that you wanted to eat or whatever.
Like I said, Mommy always had a big garden.
Yeah. And lots of kids worked that garden, right?
Bacon, beans, peas.
Yeah.
Flower peas.
You name it.
Yeah, wow.
And she'd always can a bunch of that.
Yeah. So when World War II came along, your family really wasn't in the hurt like some families as far as stuff to eat. I mean, what I'm saying, you were self-sufficient.
Like I said, we raised most of the stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Okay, now, again, these are really no certain order, so I'm going to jump around a little bit. But how was your family affected by World War II? I mean, who all, were there any of you kids that were in the military, or?
Lloyd, Alvie, Auldon.
Okay.
Me, Alvie, and Auldon.
Mm-hmm.
Auldon the youngest.
And Auldon, what branch of service were you all in?
Was all in the Army.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't know that you'd been in the Army.
Lee was 21 or 22 months old when he was drafted.
Oh, okay.
And
Alvie, he's just younger than me, or was. He volunteered. I don't think he was drafted, was he?
I don't know. I have pictures of him, in uniform. I don't have any pictures of you in uniform, but there's at least a couple of him in those pictures.
But I think Alvie volunteered after the war broke out.
Yeah.
And he went to Europe.
Oh, wow.
He spent most of his time, I think, in France.
Okay. And then did you all see any action or actual fighting?
Oh, my. Auldon, he went to the South Pacific,
Oh, wow.
fighting the Japanese.
Wow.
And he was on some of those islands that were still.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know that.
here's Lloyd in his uniform.
Hey, you know what? I may want to. Let me see your other old pictures, because I can scan those while you're here, actually. And I'll look those over, because I may want to, and I can give right back to you once I scan them. I'm here. Yeah,
you got one of
I do. Yeah, if you don't mind, I'm gonna, any of your old pictures, I can
There he's acting silly.
Okay, yeah. Hey, well, let me, I'll scan those here in a minute. Okay, so, and we already mentioned this about your dad didn't ever have a tractor, so he tilled his field with horse and plow. And, yeah, we've already mentioned that. So, and we talked about the cotton already. And did he ever raise sugar cane for molasses or sorghum? Okay. Well, I don't know if
He might have raised some cane that made molasses. I'm not sure. I don't recall it. But back then there was a lot of that homemade molasses.
And they skim it off, cook it and skim it off.
right. Well, my Uncle Bill on Ray's side of the family, they used to do that here.
Yeah.
And he described all that process. So I was just curious. Okay, now let's see. Can you describe the house you all lived in growing up? And I guess the one in Pawnee County.
Well, okay, now that's, I guess, my first question. How many places in Pawnee County did you all live?
In Pawnee County?
Well, yeah, I guess, or Yeah, well, describe any of them, I guess, and where they're
Well,
located.
describe that last one where you all lived when we got married.
Yeah, see, now,
Well, you might, probably wouldn't remember, but yes, bought the old place off of Dad.
well, see, I barely remember him. He was only, I was about 6 or so when he died.
When Jess died,
Yeah.
well,
And now Ivy is into a place and taking pictures, and I'm going to have him take me there and I can take pictures. But there's an old oil tank you all use to put grain in or something, and Ivy has a picture of him and Wilma and Ramona standing next, but it says Granddad Carter's place. I don't know where that place is at.
well, I haven't been, was we back down in there once?
Where at?
After Mom and Dad left the farm?
We wasn't that I remember of, But Miss Carter and me used to go, we took our bath in Humpy Creek. And boy, that was spring fed and it was cold as ice.
Oh, wow.
There was a creek run across Dad's place that
You're
was
kidding.
spring fed.
Uh-huh.
Come here, kitty.
I bet it's good drinking water, though, wasn't it? Or, I mean, what did you use for, did you actually drink the water? Yeah. Well, back then, I mean, people wouldn't think about doing that today, but, you know, didn't have any choice back then.
You know, one of my brothers died with typhoid fever.
Oh.
I had it.
Ira.
Alvie had
Oh, okay.
it.
Oh,
I didn't have it real bad.
see, I wonder what he died of. I knew he died way back then, but I didn't know.
Typhoid fever.
Oh, wow.
And
Was that maybe from drinking that
Yeah.
water? Yeah, you usually don't
we
know.
don't know, but
Right.
I suspect it probably was.
Well, I noticed, I'm going to put these right here and I'm going to
Didn't
scan.
Cleo even have, I think she did, and it affected her breast, hurt her.
She might have had that.
Seems to me she did.
Okay, well, describe any house you remember. Let's just say that. Or, I mean, like how many rooms and stuff like that. Or, I mean, just what you remember of it.
Well, the last one that Mom and Dad lived in before they moved into Cleveland. Of course, I lived there before I
Mm-hmm.
finally got away from home, you know, and wound up marrying Dad.
Yeah.
Well, Miss Carter
It was,
said they on
there had been a house at this site, and it had a basement over it. But that house had burned down or fell down or something. I don't know. Years before.
his legs.
Well, Dad, what are you doing?
This kitty loves you.
Dad went down there and he built a house back up over that.
Okay. And there had been a house there previously.
Yes,
Right.
it had a cistern.
Yeah. But this is the house that I've heard about.
Well, Jess and Annie lived there.
Okay. They lived there after you all did, huh?
After Mom and Dad left the farm and went to Cleveland.
Now that was
Jess bought that place
okay.
off of Dad, and they moved.
Now that wasn't I've heard about a Joe Hamilton place they lived on. Probably wasn't that place. I don't know.
Well, the old Hamilton place was over west of there.
Okay, they lived there for a while or something,
Yeah,
I think.
they lived there. You mean on the Hamilton place?
Yeah, they
Probably
had
2 or 3 years.
yeah.
Maybe longer than that, I don't know.
So, describe that. Or so it was a house over a basement then.
And, well, he built it just kind of a crude house up over this basement, and that's where they lived.
Yeah,
I
okay.
don't know, it had, do you remember anything about how many rooms it had?
Oh yeah, I just was curious.
I don't know. One thing I remember your mother telling me, she never did go to sleep at night when he was out on a date till she could feel him pulling himself up in the side door of where he slept.
Trying to sneak in.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm going to try to take pictures. Well, I know there's nothing left of it, but I'm going to have Ivy show me where that place is. Do you remember my dad? They stayed there quite a bit, didn't they? Sometimes he mentioned staying with Grandma and Granddad Carter, and didn't Dad
Well, I imagine he did stay there. Some visiting them, stay
Yeah,
like a kid.
right. Yeah, I guess so. Just
I'll tell you, Curtis, when he was a baby, well, my youngest brother,
Auldon or Alvie?
him and J.D.,
Yeah,
Auldon and J.D. was right close to the same age.
right. Yeah.
And then Curtis came along. I think everybody spoiled him.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Well, I noticed it looked like Alvie and JD were kind of close. I've seen pictures of them together.
There, we did have a picture of them, when they was babies.
Well, yeah, I'll have to look your pictures over sometime and see what all,
Yeah.
and other than these, and I'll see what all you have on that. Okay, let me see. Okay, your mom and dad both came from pretty good sized families, which you don't know much about. So you never meet any of your dad's brothers, did you? Or did you?
Well, it seemed like when I was just being small that Bob came to visit Dad one time.
Oh, okay.
Now,
And you don't
as
remember it?
far as remembering any particulars about it.
Yeah. Okay. And then how about your mom though? Did she see her sisters now and then?
Yes, in fact,
I have a picture.
it seems to be like you and I took, didn't we? One
Wait till Aunt Amanda's. I never
And
was
that was
at Aunt Amanda's.
That was in Oklahoma, right?
Aunt Amanda lived in Ardmore.
Yeah.
Aunt Anna and
And Eller.
Eller lived in Texas.
Right.
What?
Aunt Anna lived at Brownwood,
Right.
Texas.
Right.
And Ella, I don't know where.
Yeah, Scheidler or some. It starts with SCH. But
Shindig, probably.
yeah, something. It's
No, what?
it's not too far, but it's something. But I have all that in the notebook where she lived.
Now, I don't even know whether she had any brothers or not.
Okay, now according to what I found, she did, but I haven't found anything on them. And their names were Lou and Linus. Sort of like Lenny, but Linus, Lennis, and Lou. It was Clementine's brothers.
Yeah.
But I was just curious if you ever met any of your aunts and uncles on.
Well, I've not met
Other than,
those
yeah, this,
3
right, okay.
sisters.
Okay, okay, well, who would you say your mom was closest to in her sisters? Or was she closer to one, you think, or
I would say Aunt Amanda.
in the one in Oklahoma, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And, now did your mom ever mention having half-sisters?
Yeah, she had a half-sister.
Yeah, she had 4 of them, actually.
Did she?
Yeah.
Your mom's half-sisters.
Oh, well,
Yeah, she had,
One of them, Emma.
yeah, Emma and Laura, and
Now,
there's a
never
couple
heard of-
more. And it's interesting, I found out, and it's all in your book, but Laura was killed, according to what I found out.
Yeah.
She was deaf mute. She didn't speak, and her husband was that way too. And she was killed 4 days before your mom died in a train accident.
Oh.
They were hit by a train.
Yeah.
But that happened about the same time your mom died.
Yeah.
And but that's in that book. But anyway, that's kind of interesting. But there was 4 sisters. One of them was Johnny, and Emma, Laura, and what was the other one?
Now we met Emma.
Oh wow! When did you meet Emma?
She came up to.
is that the one that lived over by Oklahoma City?
No, that's her niece. You're thinking. About.
Let's see. Yeah, I have a picture of Emma even in that book.
Uh-huh.
I found a picture on the internet of Emma when she was a girl.
Yeah.
She's probably a teenager.
Yeah.
There was one more. Lee Ora, and I haven't found a picture or anything of her, but Lea Ora, and was her name. But you'll find that in this book.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's see. Now your dad, who would you say he was closest to, and who you knew about? Was it maybe Bob or Frank or? Yeah, okay, let me ask you, did your mom and dad ever mention any funny, or any stories about their growing up years? Did they ever talk about that?
That's one big regret I have.
Yeah.
That I didn't question them
Right.
about their family.
It's gonna be good, because I won't have a regret. I'm gonna ask you all these questions, and I won't be saying, I sure wish I would have asked
them, yeah.
some questions.
I don't even know, like Mommy's family, I don't know what they did.
Yeah.
Whether they were farmers,
Yeah.
ranchers,
Right.
Now
merchants.
you knew what Aunt Anna's boy, that one in particular.
I'm talking about
Okay.
Mommy's
Yeah.
parents.
Right.
Oh.
Well, now her dad died at a pretty early age of he died 40 something. I think he's only about 40 when he died.
Mommy's dad.
Yeah. His name was John Henry Dykes. And so what I'm saying, he didn't live a very long life.
Yeah.
And probably was a farmer, I imagine.
Well,
But I don't know. Let's see. I was going to ask you something else. Oh, you mentioned Anna's boy. What about him?
The one, the baseball.
well, this is Aunt Anna's boy.
Right.
His name was, I think, Jim. He was a baseball umpire.
Oh, wow.
Not in the major leagues, but in the minor leagues.
Huh.
Like the Tulsa Driller.
Right.
In fact, I think he used to come to Tulsa.
Now, her last name
umpire games.
was Tungate, wasn't it? Anna?
Yeah. And Aunt Anna's. Uh-huh.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I found information on her and her family. I have all her kids listed. I mean, of all these people. So you can kind of get reacquainted. You read those names. Okay. Okay, and you think you're in Texas? Or you think you took her down there once or twice, or because I have a picture.
Well,
He took
I
her
know I've
once.
always thought that her and I took them down there once, but she said we didn't. But me and Ed, who went Lenny, did she go with us?
I don't know who went that time. I was upset at you going then till.
Well, about when was this? What decade was this? 30s, 40s, when you all went.
Now there was probably, I guess it was before I went to service.
Yeah.
Well, it would have been in the 40s.
There's a picture that, I've shown you, you all seen it, but she's sitting in the middle, sitting down, and you mentioned Ella being kind of a small
Little woman.
Yeah. Yeah, so, and I think she's on her left, and another sister's on her right, which I think must be Anna, because they're the ones that lived in Texas, and it makes sense that it was on a visit to Texas that Clementine, this picture was taken.
Yeah.
Because I doubt if they ever came up, both of them at the same time. It had to be down in Texas when it was taken.
Well, when Mom died, did all three of them sisters come?
I don't know.
Well, yeah, but this picture I'm talking about, she's in good health. It's not, it's an earlier picture of her instead of a later.
Yeah.
So anyway, well, look at that, 2 pages already. So we're coming along. Okay, well, let's see. I've already asked you a couple of these.
When I took Lee and we went up and stayed a few days with Mr. and Miss Carter, when he was overseas, Lee was little, and he's out climbing on them pipes out, and Mr. Carter had some old pipes under a tent and all, and he fell astraddle of one of them, and I'll tell you, he was just a-crying, and he wanted me to look at it. He thought it had broke it off. And Mr. Carter said, well, you'd probably been a whole lot better off if it had.
Okay, well, let's see. And did your mom and dad ever talk about the first that died, the first kid that died? Arthur was his name. And
Not really.
yeah, I was curious. He would have been born back in Texas someplace. Brownwood probably. They actually, the census thing that I have, it's in Brown County. That's a place called Blanket in Brown County, Texas, is where they were living in 1900. And that's before they came to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And then Lennie was probably born there in Texas, according, And now I show my grandmother being born in Bud in Stone Bluff in Wagner County. So I don't know. I don't know who told me that. Maybe it's Cleo or something. So they weren't born in Pawnee County. I'll have to figure that out. I think maybe it's Cleo told me that before she died.
Yeah.
Told you what?
That they were born in Stone Bluff in Wagner County.
Bud was.
Now Edna too.
And Edna.
You know anything about
Well,
that?
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. Okay. So how many different places, and I don't want you to describe them, or you probably can't even remember them, but how many places did your mom and dad live in Pawnee County? How many different places?
In Pawnee County?
Yeah. Well, how many places all over, if that makes, if you can remember. So I didn't realize they lived that many places.
Well, let's see. The first, I'll start at
Yeah, just
the first
list them
I can
all.
remember. The Beers place. Then from there, I think we moved to Big Cabin.
See,
And from there...
my dad was born in Big Cabin, so I wonder if that relates to that.
From there, probably back to Pawnee Creek County. It's over on the Charlton Road, west of Highway 48.
Okay.
Then from there, we moved up in that old rock house. And then to that one that I was telling you about where Jess and Edney bought Jess. They moved there.
Okay. So 4 or 5 different places, or, you know.
I can recall.
Wow. And then did he always own, or did he rent property? Or did he rent his property or always own it?
Well, let's see, 1, 2. 2 that I can recall that he just rented. The rest of them, I think he bought them.
Now, are any of the places he lived underwater now, like under the Keystone Lake?
Part of that one up there where Jess and
Oh,
where I
really?
said, where she was talking about Humpy Creek.
Yeah.
Part of that, at least the lake backed way back up that creek.
Okay. Yeah. So is Humpy Creek is it still around,
Well,
or did the lake take it up?
It is, but it's not like it used to be.
Huh.
Because of that lake backing up
Right.
into that creek. It's not a flowing creek like
Yeah.
it used to be.
Now, so you weren't that far from the Cimmaron River, were you?
Oh, no. In fact, our farm run right out to the bluff.
Right. Yeah.
I think they did early.
She got pictures of us, Fern and Alvie,
Oh, yeah,
taking.
when we was dating.
Wow.
Alvie was in love with the girl here when he went in service. Have you ever heard of the Sissoms?
Yeah. Well, of course, I know Alvin Sissom. Alvin married Mildred.
Uh-huh. Well, it was his sister that Alvie was dating when he went in service. He was
okay.
so crazy about. And she married George Harbison while he was gone.
Everybody just, I guess, assume that Alvie and Fern would marry.
Well, what was
when they
her
come back.
what was her first name?
Fern.
Fern. Okay. Okay. Well, I didn't know that. So yeah, it's interesting on these census records that, and you told me they moved around a lot, but you would never know it according to the census records, because 1910 to 1940 lists them living in Cimmaron Township in Pawnee County. But that's the, and you think, well, they stayed there all that time, but that wasn't the case, apparently. Okay. Do you remember the names of the neighbors you had? Or were there neighbors even close by?
Where we lived, a lot of them we didn't have neighbors.
Right.
Well, Ray's you had
Well,
up there at that
Calvary family,
That was their last name?
they
Ray.
are
You know, on the census, I even noticed the Sneeds live next to you.
Yeah, Sneeds.
Because Woodrow,
Woodrow Sneeds.
needs.
yeah, I see them listed right next to you on this, our census thing. And I'm just curious if you remember any of your neighbors, although neighbors being a little ways off, you know, since you all had land and everything. Okay, and you said your parents really never owned an automobile then, did they? Okay, and okay, you already told me about your dad's driving experience. Okay, now how would you get back and forth for transportation? I mean, just ride horses or
Wagon,
and horses? Yeah.
mostly.
Okay. And your parents probably never had electric service.
No.
Okay. And
Mommy never had running water, electric,
yeah, wow.
any
So
of
you
them.
had just like you see in the old westerns, to prime that pump, huh? Yeah.
Now at Cleveland, she had
Well,
water in her kitchen, but
I
she
did
never had a
until they
sink.
moved
Just
to
that old
Cleveland.
faucet.
So did he ever drill a well, water well?
Well, I think all the places that we lived, or at least about all of them, had water wells.
Okay.
But what I'm talking about is
You didn't have the
running water.
right. You didn't. Right. You just had to bring it up the old-fashioned way instead of
Yeah.
to bring it up. Yeah. Okay. Now, did your mom? She used a wood cook stove, I guess, in her for cooking and baking,
Yeah.
and then no indoor plumbing, probably. No, of course. Yeah. Good old-fashioned outhouse.
But there in Cleveland, they was forced to put in them.
Oh, really?
People was, and Mr. Carter, the stool was so high my feet wouldn't touch the floor,
Well,
and it would pinch my butt.
well, did he build the house in Cleveland or?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now, was it right there in town where they had to move? Okay.
You know where that
You got that
rock
picture, haven't
building
you?
stood up there on Main Street?
Which one? Oh no, who's
That's
that?
Miss Carter.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh, well, my goodness. Let me see that. No.
She gave me a little bitty picture,
Uh-huh.
and I had,
Do you still have the little bitty one? the reason I'm-
have, but I don't have any idea.
The reason
where.
I'm asking, I could really take a really good image of that little bitty picture, but
I
wow,
have no idea where it.
yeah,
I think she was 17.
wow. No, I'd love if you could find that little bitty one. I have the equipment that, man, you can blow that thing up. What I'm saying, this is pretty good though, but I definitely want to get that.
Yeah.
Because I don't have it. She looks a lot younger there, let me tell you.
I think she was just 17 there.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm gonna scan those here in a minute. Let's see. Okay, let's see where we left off. And did you all have a radio to listen to growing up?
Well, in the later years of my years at home, I got one which was car battery operated.
Okay.
Had to take the battery into town every once in a while
Uh-huh.
and have it charged up.
Do you remember what shows or what do you like to listen to, or Grand Ole Opry and things like that?
Well, I think we did that on Saturday night. Dad listened a lot to, of course he liked to listen to the news,
Yeah.
and he had some radio preachers that he liked to listen to.
Yeah. Huh. And so obviously you all never had a TV or, that was,
We never had
see,
one.
I'm doing this for the benefit of not only my generation, some of these younger kids that they can't imagine growing up like you all did. Not having all this stuff that we have nowadays, you know.
I was just talking about the younger generation. I'm going to talk a little about schools.
Uh-huh.
I bet you there's 90% of the graduates today don't even know a thing in the world about that.
Mm-hmm. World War II? Yeah.
Because I don't think they are teaching it
Right.
in school.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's, see, I've always loved history. And, I mean,
You too.
yeah, and you come from such a different age than we're so spoiled nowadays, you know, compared to how the early days, you know. That's one reason I'd like to give people a glimpse of what it was like back then. Okay, now could your dad could he read?
No.
And could he write?
No.
Okay, so neither one.
He signed his name with the next.
I was gonna say, because see, I have a thing where he had to register for the draft in 1918, same year you were born. And it's actually only 3 days before you were born.
Really?
Yeah, now you're born on, what day?
April 15th.
15th. It was like April 12th. And he had to register for the draft, and it was filled out for him. And it said, if the person had not signed it, that probably meant they couldn't read and write. And the person that filled it out signed it for him. And it was Alvie Finley Carter is what he'd given.
You know why he couldn't read or write?
Well, he never went to school,
Well,
right?
now what I've always been told, he went to school, started,
Mm-hmm.
when it's either a half a day or a day and a half. And I guess he had to go home. He had the measles. The measles settled in his eyes.
Oh. And
And that's what,
he never really could see well.
he could see well enough to work.
Oh, but as far as reading,
Don't ever try to out-count on his money.
I'm telling
right. So he was good on math. He was just actually,
But he couldn't read plant,
right.
and he couldn't write.
So that was that eye problem was from an early age then.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah. Okay, well I didn't know that.
real early.
Now, okay, let's see. And it said, according to this 1940 census record, your mom told the guy that was taking the census that she went through grade 5, according to this census.
Mom?
Yeah.
Well, you know, that's news to me.
Well, it says that. Oh, he had 0 years of schooling.
Because I
Yeah, because she read and write.
farther than that, but I don't know.
Yeah, but it said, that's what it said, grade 5.
She could read good.
Yeah,
She could write.
yeah. Well, sometimes, if you think about it though, you can read and write by grade 5, so.
Well, that's how far I went.
Yeah, well, it said that it said,
No, you went farther than that, didn't you?
Well, I
well, it says
I
that,
went through the 5th grade, went back and started the 6th, and went a while in the 6th grade.
yeah, it says in here, I'm gonna give y'all this book here. It says where both of you, let's see, let's see. Okay. Oh, I can't find it right at the moment. But, yeah, here it is. Clemmy went through grade 5. It said you went through grade 6. And then Alvie went through grade 6. And Auldon went through grade 7. So, That's what the 1940 thing says.
Okay.
Down at the Rigsby School when Lloyd was going there, he wrote on this door of the school, "Old Lady Ward is a fool." And well, I don't know what
That was the teacher then, right?
Yeah, and so she was trying to find out who done that. No one would tell him. Find this one girl held her hand up. She said Lloyd Carter, and he got his.
Well, okay. So I was going to ask you, which school did you go to? So you already told me. Rigsby, was that the old country school? And that's where Ramona has pictures of when she was going there.
Well,
And that's the same place. It's probably not even standing today, is it? I mean, it's probably...
I don't know what she's the only one that,
No, Bill and Ramona and Marvin. There's pictures on this CD and stuff of all that.
yeah.
And but yeah, and she even has some writing at the top telling who all is there. But so it was there a long time before. I mean, well, although Ramona, you were born 1918, so it'd been there a few years, I guess. So all right, and then so you remember your schoolhouse and teachers. I guess you remember Mrs. Ward. And then you walked to school, I guess? Yeah. How far was it?
Well, I'm gonna guess it was about a mile and a half each way.
Yeah. Well,
Now today,
And through
kids
the
can't walk
woods.
2 blocks just.
right. And then, so it was like a one-room schoolhouse?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big pot belly
Yeah?
stove.
Okay, what did you like? What was your best subject and worst subject in school?
Well, I would say English was my worst.
Mm-hmm.
I liked history. I liked geography. I liked arithmetic. And I was good at spelling.
Yeah. Well, it's a good thing you like history, because I mean, to me, this is real interesting stuff, but some people could care less what you're telling me. Or they say, well, that was back then, I could care less about that. All right. Okay, now I'm asking you, what chores did you and the others perform growing up? I mean, what kind of chores comes to your mind?
Feeding the livestock, milking the cows,
Mm-hmm.
cutting wood,
Yep.
carrying it in.
What time of the morning did you have to get up to do all this stuff?
Well, we was always up before daylight.
Yeah.
And after I got up big enough to do it, my job in the wintertime was to get up and build a fire in the heating stove.
Right. Huh. And then, what time do y'all have to turn in at night? Drop dark. I mean,
Well, pretty early.
Yeah. Okay, so I just said describe a routine or regular day around the Carter household from dawn to dusk. Just lots of work, I guess.
Oh, yes, there's always work.
Yeah. And, okay. Okay, if I say you came from such a large family, can you describe the personalities of your brothers and sisters?
Mean.
I mean, I bet y'all had a sense of humor,
Oh,
didn't
Lord,
you?
how would you do that?
No, I'm just curious. I mean,
Tell about the time that Mr. Carter, was it Bud or Raymond, that he was telling them something, they said,
Raymond, but Dad was carrying 2 buckets of slop from the house to the barn to slop the hogs. And Raymond was out in the barnyard there somewhere. And I guess Dad said something to him, told him to do something or something. And Raymond sassed him.
Raymond said, "What are you going to do about it?" You said,
Set those slop buckets down. He said, "Well, I can show you quicker than I can."
Raymond took
Raymond
off.
jumped the fence and took off.
I bet he didn't ask that again or say that again, did
He
he?
was gone about 2 days. He came back.
Okay, let's see. Do you remember any pets, special pets that you had growing up that you kind of remember, like dogs and horses or whatever?
Special, but
Nothing
we
special.
always had dogs
Yeah,
and cats.
yeah.
What
Okay.
about the one that your mom had us to carry off that time?
Well, I
And we took her, let it out down by the Sand Springs Bridge. And darn if that dog didn't get run over right there before our eyes the first thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And my dad, it seems like he said a couple times where he said there was either Bible reading at the table or the Bible was recited around the table. I don't know.
Well, Mommy used to always do this. Well, I don't remember what was before breakfast or after. She would read to Dad, or Dad couldn't
Right.
read. And of course to the rest of the family was out of the Bible, from the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that she wouldn't read a chapter
Right. Yeah. Just a short.
every morning. And then him and her would have prayer. First he would pray, and then she would.
While you kids were sitting there or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my dad remembered that, and he mentioned that several times when I was growing up about now. So he apparently was there enough to witness that.
Yeah.
And so I think that's pretty neat. Okay. Now, where did the Carter family attend church? Did y'all go to?
Well,
And how often?
probably the last that I can remember anything about was, you maybe have heard about Dixie community.
Yeah.
There was a church there then.
Okay. Now Dixie community.
Clyde Gibbons,
Okay.
which was
Right.
Virgil's dad.
Right.
He was, well, I guess you can call it pastor there.
Right. Okay.
It was just a little community church.
It was the Dixie community that was covered over by the lake, wasn't it? Or
Well,
did they have to move the
when they
cemetery?
built the dam, that done away with all that
Right. Right.
land up in there.
Yeah. Okay. And okay, now I've been trying to track down a family Bible. Do you all know about a family Bible?
I've
And
tried to find out what happened to Mommy's daughter.
well, so there was such a thing.
And I don't know who's got it.
Well, the last Cleo heard, because she said Miss Carter told her she could have it. But the last Cleo heard, Nadine, Lenny's oldest
Well,
girl.
I
Well-
asked Nadine about it.
I know, Nadine, I just asked her the last few days. It said, I don't know why everyone thinks I have that, but I don't. He said, I don't know where it's at.
I'd give you anything in the world to have it,
And-
to see what kind of records.
Right. Well,
Mommy.
see, I was just wanting to get pictures of it or pictures of the things inside of it. I'm not wanting to take possession of it or anything, but I just want to look at it.
Well, Cleo
And-
never could
Well, Nadine doesn't have it though. She said,
Yeah.
I don't know where everyone gets the idea that I have that, but I don't. And
I have,
so hopefully we can solve that mystery one of these days. Okay. Okay. Was there anything else besides the family Bible, which we don't even know where it's at, but was there anything else handed down in the family or in way of special possession or anything like that? Okay. And let's see. I didn't. Okay. And how often did the family go to town, and just where was town? Where was, when you all went to town, what was that? Was that Keystone, or where was that exactly?
well, when they lived out there where Jess and Edney moved to after Mom and Dad left, I guess the town that we went to and most then was Cleveland.
Cleveland, okay. And, well, I was just curious, and then, like, how often would you all go? You remember?
Well, of course,
Is your boy home or?
Yeah, Tyler.
I was gonna say,
I was a teenager.
I've been hearing it. I saw
I was
a
getting up
walk.
before I
Yeah, he's in there. He's bustling around here. So Cleveland was where y'all, that was kind of where you go to town when you
Yeah.
when you went, okay. Now, you've already told me, you and Alvie and Auldon were in the military, and that's pretty much it as far as military.
Oh, quit
Uh-oh.
that, you stinker.
Yeah,
Now, don't say nothing, because
he's playing, but he's
playing.
Yeah, he's playing.
Look.
But he's attacking your purse. Okay. Some of this I've already, let's see. Okay, my dad also remembered your mom being quite a pie baker. He said, well, she knew how to put on the feed.
She baked a lot,
Yeah.
baked a lot of,
Okay, I'm going to ask you to describe just a regular everyday meal you all would have. Just an example of everyday food. Just through the
which
week.
one?
I don't know, just whatever. Just
Well-
like through the week on a regular day, what kind of food would y'all eat?
Fried potatoes, beans, and if it was the right time of the year, we'd have some pork meat
Yeah.
of some kind.
Okay.
They never did butcher their beef, did you?
Cornbread or biscuits.
And so you sell your cows, or did you butcher any of them?
I can remember Dad and Jess killing and butchering one beef. And they did that. Somebody bought it and wanted them to kill it and dress it for them.
So I was just checking my tape here.
But we never had beef to eat.
Yeah,
We
okay.
we
So
ate lots of chicken.
Yeah, you never even ate beef then because you didn't butcher it. I mean, you didn't go to the store and buy any or whatever. Yeah, chicken,
Or bread, you didn't go to the store and buy
Right.
bread.
right. Huh.
Biscuits
I'll
or
tell you.
cornbread.
My mom could cook the best fried chicken,
Yeah,
fried in a pan.
right,
Wasn't deep fried. like-
right. Well, I've heard she was quite a cook. And, okay, now, was Sunday, was it a special meal? Was that a special meal at
That was the main fried chicken
Yeah.
day.
But there always fried chicken on Sunday.
Oh, okay. And so that would be the special meal of the
And
week.
she would, but there always have something baked.
She could make the best cake. It wasn't pretty, but I'll tell you what she'd do. She'd take her cream and sugar and stuff, and then she'd punch holes down in that cake, and that icing would all go down in there. None of it stayed where you could say there's an icing here. It was just a juicy cake.
And so, and she canned this chicken. You mentioned that.
Uh-huh.
That I've never heard of that before. That's interesting. About being able to preserve fried chicken like that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And you always ate together as a family, I imagine. Yeah. Nowadays,
This one eating, this one bragging.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody, one
People
member of the family grab a plate and went in the back room to watch TV.
Yeah. So do you remember what time in the morning was breakfast? Do you remember that? What?
Order for breakfast.
No, what time?
What
What time in the morning would you say was breakfast?
Well, I think whatever, about daylight.
Yeah. Okay. Now, how about supper? By what time was supper? Probably.
About dark or middle.
Was a lot of your supper cornbread and milk? Was a lot of your supper cornbread and milk?
Yeah, my dad grew up sure eating a lot of that.
Yeah.
And plus, yeah, that's the thing.
I still like it.
Yeah. So I know that's kind of the old timey and I can't imagine eating that soggy cornbread with milk poured on top of it.
You gotta try it.
Yeah, I bet it is. Okay, I've already asked you what kind of chores. Did y'all ever go hunting for wild game?
Oh, yeah.
Well, and what kinds?
When I was a kid, we rabbit hunt, squirrel hunt.
And did your mom fix it?
Oh, yes, we eat lots of rabbits,
Now, so was that...
especially in the winter.
Now, I've heard about even sometimes people would make possum. Did y'all...
Well,
Did you
I don't know whether Mama ever fixed. Look at him.
Oh, the horse? Yeah, he's a miniature horse, pony.
Always beautiful.
What do you call him?
Well, he's a miniature.
Okay.
Yeah, he's not a full-grown one, but he's actually not a Shetland pony. He's a actual miniature horse.
Yeah.
And we have him for our groups to feed, and they can feed him out of their hand and stuff. And so that's about all the good plus he grazes out there and everything. So, so you said, tell me you went hunting, and so squirrels and rabbits, and
Now back then,
Did your mom ever cook a possum?
I don't remember if she did. I don't know, but I don't, like I said, I don't remember if she did. Now, I know people back then did. Some people did eat possum.
yeah, my dad has a story. I don't know who it was that they cooked a possum, and I think it was my dad was sitting there and he didn't know he was eating possum, and I was just like, yeah, that's, and whoever cooked it said, well, that's the best possum, or that possum turned out good. And boy, my dad, he left that table, boy, he went up. He didn't know.
They said they were greasy.
Yeah, he didn't know that's what he was eating.
Yeah.
And once he found out what it was, he all of a sudden his stomach started turning a little bit. Okay.
Back then, possum, you could get them and skin them and sell that
Right.
hide.
Yeah, Ray's uncle
In
used
fact,
to
there's a
sell.
lot of people done a lot of hunting in the winter time for that purpose.
You all never did though for the hides?
No.
Yeah. Okay. So we take for granted going to the grocery store and buying fresh fruit. Bananas, oranges, stuff like that. Do you remember any fruit as this growing up? Did you ever go buy fresh fruit at the store or anything? Or did you, what kind of fruit?
I can't remember.
Did you all have apple trees or anything? Did you eat just apples that were
Well,
grown?
I'm sure we probably did at some of the places.
Yeah. Well, I was just curious, you all probably hardly ever bought food at a store. I mean,
Didn't, but you know what? Until Mom and Dad moved to town. Now, in the last few years that they lived out on the farm, she might have, I don't know, ever bought a loaf of bread.
yeah.
She always baked light bread and biscuits.
Well, I bet they were good too, I bet.
Oh, man,
Yeah.
she baked the best light bread.
When you say light bread, what do you mean by that? Light? Or
Well, like,
Like
bread
this
by
loaf
yeah,
that you
right, wow. Yeah, I baked a lot, and I know nothing beats fresh baked.
You baked a lot of them delicious rolls that bring out.
Yeah, I'll bake you all a special pan.
What happened to that?
Oh, I don't know. I just had got busy with stuff like this, you know. Well, I'll have to make you all a pan and bring them by sometime. Okay, my dad mentioned you all sometimes having outings at the Cimmaron River, like, I don't know, picnics or whatever. Did you all do that some? I mean, picnics, you know, just little family outings, maybe go swimming or something.
Well, I can remember every 4th of July, and this wasn't just our family, it'd be a community.
Right?
Well, we were talking about the Dixie Church a while ago. Well, close to there was a creek that run down through there. What was that creek called?
Was it Bear Creek?
Bear Creek. And there was a family that lived on a farm right there. And everybody gathered there on the 4th of July for a picnic and visiting. And of course, everybody took something to eat and usually had lemonade to drink, you know.
Yeah.
But that was pretty much the extent, I think, of our picnic.
Yeah. My dad even mentioned, and I don't know if you remember this, but he mentioned putting sand in a can and putting some gasoline on top of that, and there was a way you could light that, and it would be kind of like a lantern down at the river. I don't know but that's what he remembers using that for, I guess, sort of like you would a light. But he had memories of outings at the Cimmaron.
Well, now, back to this church again, Dixie Church.
Okay.
It didn't have electricity in it. The lighting was, what do they call them?
Kerosene?
No.
Lanterns?
What do they call them? Lanterns. I don't know, it might have been kerosene that burned in them, but you put them in, and then you had to pump them up.
Okay. Yeah.
And they had kind of like a sack.
Yeah. I know
A wick.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Hung down,
Yeah.
and you would light that. They made good lights.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's what.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. They still have some of those, I think.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
Yeah. Okay. What did your family do? I know you worked all the time and stuff, but what did your family do for leisure or relaxation? Nothing?
We didn't have any.
Or did you play any games growing up? As horseshoes or?
Oh, we pitched horseshoes.
Yeah. Or just any?
At that picnic that I was just talking
Yeah,
about.
okay. And
always be horseshoe.
and then any other games growing up? When I say games, made up games or whatever, when you were kids. Like,
You ever play post office?
where there's all kinds,
I was too shy to play
there
that
was
game.
one game where you threw a ball over the house. I forget what they used to call that. I didn't play.
Annie over.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, so did you remember a favorite toy growing up? Did you have a favorite toy or whatever that you remember playing with? Been a long time.
He didn't have many toys.
Yeah.
Linnie, when I was a kid, and Alvie and Auldon, of course, she was already away from home.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she worked quite a bit in homes.
Mm-hmm. Doing what?
And she
Just
was
cleaning, dusting, or
Yeah.
taking care of kids
And,
if they had them.
Okay.
every Christmas, she would get us younger ones, like me, Alvie and Auldon, probably Mildred and Cleo, and maybe Ethel, I don't know, some kind of a little toy for Christmas.
Yeah.
And that was generally the extent of our toys. Of course, at Christmas, Mom and Dad put always, we'd hang a sock up and they would put an apple and an orange
Yeah.
and maybe a
Nigger toes.
Yeah. That's what I remember calling. Now that's not politically correct to say it that way though.
Brazil nuts.
Right. Yeah.
candy cane or something
Right.
like that.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that. Now that's coming up here. We're actually getting pretty far here. So if you were to describe your favorite thing to do for fun growing up, what would it be? Fishing, or what would it be?
Well, we didn't do
You didn't.
Didn't you ever have that little metal wheel and that pushing it in it?
Oh. Well, one thing that kids, not just us, but back then, we'd take a stick like this, and it would be something straight,
Flat.
and tack another strip across like this. And then we would find a metal ring, so we'd roll that. You know what I mean?
Like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Walk and roll that.
So you're telling me you didn't have any video games back then?
Oh, never heard of it.
Right. Can't imagine it. Okay. Did your mom and dad have any particular talents or things they were really good at? Or did they have any hobbies? I mean, and I know that they worked all the time, but like, anything that they were particularly good at or stood out to you?
Now, Miss Carter was good at quilting.
Okay.
Very good at quilting.
Now
Piecing quilts.
Okay. Now, did neither one of them played a musical instrument or anything like that? Did they sing or whistle? Like, did they seem to like music or hum?
Well,
Just hum around the house?
in church, they would join in,
Yeah.
and they're singing.
Okay.
That is one thing that every once in a while I'll have to say, thank you, Mama. Whistling. I'm telling you, if you shut my lips up from whistling, I'd be sunk.
Oh, really? So you whistle?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, so you don't remember them, being particularly, other than in church.
Well,
Yeah, but yeah, okay. Did they enjoy music, like off the radio or anything like that?
like I said a while ago, in my later years at home, I got that radio.
Then they like the Carter family.
I don't think Dad listened to anything much other than news.
Right, and the
And
preacher.
like I said, there were some radio preachers.
So you don't remember any favorite songs they like to sing, just playing around or whatever?
No.
Okay. Did they either one have a favorite church hymn they liked, or that was their favorite song in the songbook or anything?
I heard that your mama's was Beulah Land. That's what Cleo said.
Wow.
You've heard that one. Oh, Beulah Land, sweet Beulah Land.
Okay, yeah, now, there's a newer, I'm going home, da 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 da, and then, Beulah Land, I'm homesick for you. It's not that one, is it? There may have been an older.
Oh, Beulah Land, sweet Beulah Land.
Yeah. Okay. Did you, I know you probably weren't that familiar with things on the outside world, but like, did you ever have a childhood hero, like someone on the radio or anything like that? Probably not.
Like Elvis. Was Elvis your
Yeah. Did you have any best friends from your youth? Did you have a best friend growing up?
Well, around Cleveland there was one that I enjoyed being with, and we were
You remember his name?
together, Gordon Smith.
Okay. Well, now, I know that most of the ladies of your generation were housewives. What occupation were all your brothers? That like you were a truck driver, right? So can you name what the rest of them did?
Well, Alvie drove a truck for a few years, and he was a dairy farmer.
Yeah, I remember that, just barely, because that wasn't too far from where we lived.
Yeah.
And Raymond,
At the store.
well, of course, he started out farming after he got him and Virgil was married. And then he got in that little store up there on the highway.
Well, I thought that was Uncle Ed.
Everyone in the family had it.
Well, see, I didn't know that.
They used to kid us about Law and me. We ought to get in there. I said, not me.
Well, see, I didn't know. So Raymond even had a store, huh?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Is that same one?
Huh.
And Cleo and Erd even had it at one time.
So, like, I don't remember anything about it. What it all did it sell?
Mildred and Alvin in there at one time, or what is it?
I don't.
What